Train the muscles, not the joints. So today I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about how injuries can affect your range of motion. Haha, you can't do as many push-ups as I can. Yeah, that's funny stuff. Yeah, funny. You know, because there's a lot of misconceptions around this as well in lifting weights and everything. And what I'm hoping on doing is helping you be a little bit more compassionate with yourself as far as finding the right range of motion that works with you based on some sort of logic, okay? So those of you that have watched me for a while know that I've had some injuries outside of the gym because I was playing hockey and I got hit and I tore a supraspinatus over here and I dislocated this shoulder over there in hockey, and then I had an incident where a chiropractor basically made a mistake and yanked on my arm and asked me to resist while my arm was locked out, and hence partially tore a biceps. This is the reason why I really learned to listen to myself rather than, you know, some sort of external authority that says do this a certain way, because a lot of times that authority didn't know shit about me or about how my body works, okay? Papers and education really has little to do with understanding what's going on inside you and your experience of your body. And your experience is really king, you know? So the question is, how do you deepen that experience? And how you deepen that experience is that you start listening to what's actually happening and make adjustments based on that. So you grow in paying attention, okay? So you grow your paying attention muscles to your physical system. So at first, you know, when somebody says, here's the range of motion you should do, you're like, okay, what's a reasonable range of motion? And I would say there is a reasonable range of motion, and then there's an unreasonable range of motion. Okay, so a lot of times when somebody says this is the way something's done, or it might not be, it just depends, you know, how you're built and all that sort of thing. So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how injuries can actually affect how you move. So in this shot right here, you can see how I'm doing bicep curls, but you see how my left shoulder is actually popping up. Well, that's because my attachment of my biceps changed, and also my right shoulder has a labral tear, so it sits a little lower in the joint. So now, as you can see, there's a little bit of a misalignment. So you can see that my shoulders aren't staying even as I'm doing the dumbbell curls. That said, I still just find what works for me and I just work with it and work around it. But the fact is that this will change the way you move. Now, somebody that doesn't understand injuries will say, oh no, you got to make sure these joints are even all the time and make sure you're doing it totally even. But when a muscle is not attached, or if there's a labral tear, this will naturally just slip out of the joint. It's not something that's really under your control, okay? So this isn't a nervous system dysfunction. This is actually a structural dysfunction that needs to be corrected with surgery, or you just basically leave it and work around it, you know? And that's what I've decided to do, because going under the knife and possibly fixing things is not really an option for me, because I don't really trust too much that it's gonna go well, because I have trained some people that have received surgery in certain areas. And the funny thing is, they're just as imbalanced as when they went in a lot of cases. They just have a different type of imbalance going on. Well, Jason, it appears as if the operation has been a success. Well, my shoulder feels better, but what's with this lump? I don't know, something doesn't feel right. A little swelling post-operation is normal. And why does it hurt when I pee? So one thing to explain to you, like when there's a muscle tear, whether it's a hamstring tear, whether it's a, you know, a slight tear in the pec or a slight tear in the shoulder, wherever it might be, I'll show you my arm here. When basically you have a bicep here and it connects down here, and then you have a certain amount of force that's, you know, coming from this muscle, okay? So that force will pull the arm, you know, so say you have a certain amount of pounds of force, it'll pull the arm, okay? Now you can see if the tendon is attached here, or if it's attached closer to the elbow, that the same amount of force will not lift the same amount of weight in the arm, because it's the torque arm or the lever arm is longer, okay? So it's like the teeter-totter effect, right? The closer you sit to the teeter-totter, the lighter you get in comparison to the other person sitting on the other side. In this way, when you tear a muscle, sometimes that will change your torque curve. It'll change in how much strength you actually have, and sometimes that will also play a factor in how capable your muscle is in protecting the joint under certain ranges of motion. So you can start to see what I'm saying here. When you have a certain tear or a problem, if you go under too extreme a range of motion, what might be safe for somebody else might not be safe for you. That's why it's so important for you to listen based on your injuries. Now, a lot of people will think, oh, I had an injury before, but it was just a little bit of pain, now the pain's gone. okay, maybe you healed in the best possible way that your body could, but that doesn't mean the structure might not have changed. Okay, so that's why you have to pay attention and make sure you know, okay, how is my body moving now? What feels right to me? What is giving the muscle a stretch but not transferring stress to the joint? And how is this feeling? Okay, and am I in balance or not? So that's why when I train bench presses, because my shoulders sit slightly different, doing a 3 or 4 rep set is a little bit more risky for me than before because there's a little bit of an imbalance. So one side's taking a little bit more of the stress than the other. That changed the way my rep ranges had to work when I train. Does it mean I can't get stronger? No, I can still get stronger. It's just that I have to put this variable into effect when I make a decision about how I train. All right. So those of you out there that have subtle pains or aches or history from sports or whatever it is, just make adjustments based on what your body's telling you. Don't listen to the external authority as much as say, okay, what is feeling right for me? What am I actually getting results with? Not what somebody else out there is saying that you must do and that's it, not paying attention to your own stimulus, because your body has its own individual history which will affect how you perform a rep and what rep ranges are right for you, and also how much recovery you need. Sometimes when there's a little bit more laxity or looseness in the joint, the muscles have to work a lot harder, and there is a possibility that there's a little bit more wear and tear on you, and you might need a little bit more recovery because of that. Who knows, right? I'm here just to say to you, be open to what your body's telling you. Don't necessarily just follow a structure that's imposed upon you, okay? So I hope this helps you a little bit understand that there's a possibility that your body moves a little differently than another person's based on history, and that you can make some differences or adjustments based on that. So thanks a lot for watching, and make sure you join my Facebook group, Natural Gallant Bodybuilding. And you can also find me at naturalgallantbodybuilding.com. Take care for now.